Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
Hey, it's time for another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. Seems like it's been a while. I think with some of the card matches changing into breaking cardboard, I think we actually missed a week. We're back. Episode 201. What is the topic for the day? Being a bulk subber, which I do for SGC. And I'm going to kind of let you behind the curtains to how that started, what it entails, how easy is it, how hard is it, that sort of thing. I'm not going to give the whole Colonel Sanders secret recipe away, but I am going to share some insights there because I do get asked from time to time questions about doing it. So figured I'd put out an episode. I haven't touched on this specific topic yet, so that's what today's episode is going to be about. We're going to hear from our great sponsors, and then we're going to go over the new release calendar, what is on the docket, what's coming out product-wise, some news and notes, and then we'll dive into today's topic.
Okay, now a quick word from our great sponsor, followed by the new product release schedule. Then we'll go around the hobbyverse to tell you all the latest hobby happenings and news. Then we'll tackle today's topic of discussion.
Hi, this is Pat Hughes, Cubs announcer, coming to you from the Sports Card Shop in beautiful New Buffalo, Michigan. The Gocher family has built an incredible place here for collectors to buy, sell, and trade cards and memorabilia. Be sure to stop by and let them show you around. TheSportsCardShop.com, connecting sports, athletes, the hobby, and collectors around the world.
Hi. This is Alan Pinkett, and I'm here to tell you the Gocher family has done it again. They've just opened up the Sport Card Shop in downtown Valparaiso, Indiana, and it is awesome. If you're a collector, you need to check this place out. Tell them Alan sent you and get a free gift on your first visit.
Let's check out this week's Hobby Wax releases. Take it away, Max.
Hey guys, it's Max from the Sports Card Shop. Just wanted to bring you guys the weekly releases for these next upcoming weeks here. Starting off on the 28th here, 2024-25 Panini Origins Basketball, 2024 Leaf Multisport Hobby and Blaster, and then moving on, we have 2025 TriStar Hidden Treasures Football Mini Helmet Championship, 2024 Panini Donruss Football Hobby Factory Set, and on the 2nd, we have Upper Deck Series 2 Hockey Retail 2024-25. On the 3rd, we have 2024-25 Bowman Chrome University Basketball Breakers Delight and Bowman Chrome University Basketball Blasters, Hobbies, and Megas. Also on the 3rd, we have 2024 Topps MLS Finest Soccer, 2024 Topps Inception Football, 2024 Topps UFC Royalty, and on the 9th, we have 2023-24 Panini Immaculate Basketball, 2024-25 Panini Origins Basketball H2, 2024 Panini Select Baseball, 2025 Upper Deck All Elite Wrestling, 2024-25 Upper Deck SPX Hockey. On the 10th, we have 2024 Topps Finest Formula 1 Racing, 2024 Leaf Collective Football Hobby and Jumbo, 2024-25 Panini Donruss EuroLeague Basketball, and on the 11th again, we have 2024 Panini Donruss Optic Football, 2024 Panini Select Baseball Hobby Blaster, and 2023 Topps 3 Basketball. Thank you guys for tuning into the show. Enjoy the rest of it.
Let's go round the hobbyverse and catch up on this week's hobby news.
And find out. All right, we're seeing a lot more former athletes, current athletes get involved in the hobby. File this one under that. If you're a diehard baseball fan, you might recognize the name J.J. Hoover played between the years of 2012 and 2018, pitcher. Played for three teams, predominantly the Cincinnati Reds. Well, J.J. Hoover has opened up Hoover's Dugout in Alexandria, Kentucky, which is right near Cincinnati, his former playing town. And they carry Pokemon cards, sports cards, and it's really gotten involved in the hobby. So another athlete this time will open a store. We all know now, I'm assuming, Dick's Sporting Goods was the winning bidder for the Paul Skeens 1/1 Topps Major League debut patch. And they're going to display it in their hometown store in, of all places, Pittsburgh. Final bidding price was $1.1 million. And I'm not going to lie, I'm going to pat myself on the back here. I was on Hobby Hotline, and we were kind of going around the panel predicting, and this was before the auction even started, what this card would bring, and I gave a range of $800K to $1.2 million. So got it right, if you will. Crazy to think about a modern card bringing seven figures, but here we are. That's exactly what happened. Speaking of seven figures, a preseason jersey photo matched to Michael Jordan's rookie season, but actually preseason before he even played a regular season game, from an October 5th game in 1984, just sold at Sotheby's for $4.2 million. Holy hell, I don't believe it! So one of his first jerseys, arguably one of his first, has a new owner who paid $4.2 million for that, piece of amazing memorabilia. And our final story for this week's, this episode's news segment, April 5th, National Hockey Card Day. Go to your participating retailers, not only in Canada but the U.S. You can get 5 card packs. It's a 66 card set with autos possible, although very difficult to obtain. Also, on the Canadian side, if you spend $10, you will get, actually on both sides, if you spend $10, you'll get a special Macklin Celebrini card. But on the Canadian side, select retailers are offering 9 card uncut sheets as well. So April 5th, National Hockey Card Day. And let me sneak one more story in. SGC, real busy with the specials they are running, which end here on April 4th, so get them in while you can. They're a little backlogged, so they announced that their 5 to 10 day turnaround is now 15 to 20 day turnaround. And as a bulk subber, I can attest to that's exactly the case. So, but hopefully they'll get caught up with these specials ending, and they'll be back to their 5 or 10 day turnaround. So like I've said before, sometimes my episodes come from either suggestions from other people or questions I get asked. And, for those that may not know, which is probably a good portion of you, some may know, I bulk sub. I'm a bulk subber for SGC. At the shows I do, I get an SGC table. Full disclosure, the promoters give me that table for free because it does bring people into the show. It's a nice, attractive selling point for collectors to be able to drop off their stuff for bulk subbing. So I do get that table complimentary, but my tables I do pay for, so I wanted a full disclosure that. And this whole thing really happened by accident, truth be told. And what it was is, SGC is a sponsor of my podcast, Sports Card Nation, and the promoter of my Syracuse show, which I've done for 20 years, knew that, and he asked me, "Hey, you think you could get SGC to come to my shows and take cards in for grading?" And I said, his name's Lynn. He's been on the show before. Looked that up. Good guy. I said, "No, Lynn, this isn't, while this show is a decent size, they're not going to travel, to come from Florida to Syracuse to be here, and that's not a slight on you. They do very little shows like that. And, they only do some big ones, and you can count in one hand how many shows that they do." So that was, I mentioned it to SGC knowing full well what the answer would be. And, let them know that, like I said, not gonna be possible. Then he asked me, could you take cards in on their behalf, and then SGC grades them? And truth be told, had never thought about it. Was not an ambition of mine, And I said, Lynn, I'm not even sure I want to do that. Let me think about it. Number one, I'm not sure I want to do it. Number two, I'm not sure they're going to let me do it. They got to give you the thumbs up or the thumbs down. I said, so let me think. So I thought about it. And I thought, it would be kind of cool. I didn't know what it entailed. So I called up my guys at SGC. Over the years, I've gotten to know them pretty well. Where I can text or call. And I called them. Number one, I asked, is this something I could do? And if it is, what does it entail? How does it work? So they gave me some details. And I was definitely interested, but then they said, well, we can't get the final say. That goes to Peter Steinberg, the CEO. And again, this is pre, Collectors Universe acquisition. This was when it was SGC on their own entity. And so, they got back to me in a couple of days. They're like, yeah, it's a go. If you want to do this, we'll green light it. Here's what you have to do. We went all over the parameters. So I called Lynn and said, hey, we can do it. And, the whole deal was, we'll give you a table and that sort of thing. So SGC did send some like shirts and mats and a sign and that sort of thing to signify that table and as a bulk sub. So I did the show for the first time. With an SGC table for bulk subbing, and went very well, and so it's crazy now it's almost been 2 years now since I did that first show as a bulk subber, and to even look back now and what happened almost as happenstance, almost by accident, and where we are here 2 years later with the entity, it's kind of head scratching, but fun. So let's get into how it works. I do 1 or 2 shows a month, and at each show I do have an SGC bulk sub table. So I have paperwork printed out. People can sit down, sub their cards. I have semi-rigids on the table, which I can sell if they don't have them in semi-rigids to begin with. Most people do, believe it or not. I'd say 85% of the folks have the cards in the extra large semi-rigids, but for those that don't, I do have clean ones on the table where they can purchase them for 10, 20 cents a pop. If someone's subbing 1 to 2 cards, I'm probably not charging them 20 cents, but if someone's got a 20, 30 card order, that might be a different story. I also sell the penny sleever extra large semi-rigids as whole packs for those who might want to use them for whatever reason or on future subs. And, over the course now of almost 2 years, I've really built up. I'm on sub number 31. So that'll tell you how many I've sent in over the course of a couple years. And, so that's really, I don't know, it might be more than 2 years if I'm on sub number 31. I'm losing track of time. And, people can sub 1 card, and the biggest one I had was over 100 cards from one person. Now, I'm not going to go and give you all the gory details, but I have a bulk sub rate. So I get a little bit of a discount as a bulk subber. So that's where I, get to wet my beak, so to speak. It's $1 or $2 per card, I would say, on average, is my ROI. You got to remember, too, I am paying the shipping back and to and fro SGC. I also have collectibles insurance, which I carry, which covers those shipments to and from SGC as well. Obviously, my time is a factor to sort that all out. So I do 1 to 2 bulk subs per month on average. I'd say probably anywhere from 400 cards to 800 cards in total with a month. I remember, well, even now I still get nervous, right? The majority of these cards are not mine, and in some bulk subs, they all aren't mine. I may not put any cards in on that sub, and so I'm responsible for these cards getting at least 2 SGC, right? And it can be nerve-wracking. There's some big cards I've had subbed, and that's the fun part, right? It's the fun and the nerve-wracking part at the same time is handling and seeing some of these incredible iconic cards, right? From Babe Ruth cards to Michael Jordan rookies, Honus Wagner's we've had. I've had a Ty Cobb T206. I've had some really great iconic cards come through, and very proud that people trust me with those kind of cards. I really do appreciate that, and that's not lost on me. So with every bulk sub that I send, I set up a camera on a tripod, and I film every card front and back that's being subbed. And you might ask, well, John, if you send multiple cards, how do you know who's who? Well, there is a system in place. I'm not going to give you all the secret sauce, but for example, let me give you an actual real world scenario. Ricky Henderson recently passed away some months back. Rest in peace to Ricky. And he was already, that an 80 tops is already an iconic card, but you know what happens in the hobby. Someone passes away and these cards kind of come out of the woodwork. So on one sub alone, I had 16 Ricky Henderson rookie. I think 10 were one person's cards, and then this other 6 were like 3 or 4 other people, for a total of 60. Well, SGC told me, it was one of the first questions I asked them before I even started doing the bulk subs. Like, how with duplicate cards, how can we avoid, and make sure that the right owner gets their right card? No missteps or mix-ups. And so they told me a system and an invoice thing, how I ship the cards to them in a certain way, and how I invoice the package to them. So when I get it back, I kind of know what order those cards and who those cards belong to. So there is a system in place for duplicate cards. I'm thankful for it. Otherwise, that would be an absolute nightmare and very discouraging. So that's nice to avoid that. Obviously, like I said, I film each card front and back. I package it very well with a lot of bubble wrap, and it doesn't shift in the box. And it doesn't matter from my first bulk sub to my recent one of 31st bulk sub. I'm nervous all the time until that gets there and I see it's received. I send it where it has to be hand signed for. That's what my collectibles insurance requires me to do for coverage. So I do what keeps me covered and legal and very well packed, right? And the first couple subs, bulk subs, I had shipped here to my house. And I'm going to watch my language here, but my FedEx driver for my house area here is not a nice guy, not a good guy. He was saying he attempted delivery and that no one was home when there would be 4 people in my house. And the final straw was one time, and I don't know if I've ever told this story on the air. One time he stopped across the street from my house with the bulk sub. He stopped his truck. I'm looking out my window at him. My phone goes off, notification, and it says FedEx tried to deliver your package. No one home, no one available. Will reattempt next business day. I'm literally looking at him. Never got out of his truck. So he drives off. I jump in my car. This is like a Benny Hill episode or Three Stooges. I jump in my car and I find them on one of the side streets. I get out of my car, and I don't want you to think less of me here, but I was just so livid and mad that he would do something like that. And, I got out of my car and said, hey, man, I'll paraphrase here. What are you doing? This is like the third time you've tried to attempt delivery when I'm home and I'm looking at the window. You never got out of your truck. You never rang my doorbell. I have a Ring doorbell, which would have you on camera. And I said, I'm not a guy that calls people's bosses, but I have to do this now because this is not a one-time deal. This is like your MO. And, he apologized. I signed for the package and gave it to me right then and there. But I was still so mad, and so I called up the supervisor. I said, what's going on with your guy? But I explained to him the 3 or 4 times he has done this, and I said, you got to do something. But I had already made up my mind, like, I'm not going to have that, at least the bulk subs shipped here. Like, if I've fed other FedEx packages from other places or stuff I order individually, it is what it is. But the bulk subs, I'm going to have shipped to a different location, and I go pick it up there. It's safe, it's secure, it's delivered every time. There's always someone there to sign for it. Guaranteed multiple people could sign for it. So that's what I do, and it was the best decision that I made. So, I get the box. These boxes are heavy. They can weigh 50, 60 pounds. The last one, I think, was 80-something pounds. And obviously, they're in some semblance of an order, but not perfect. So stuff still needs to be sorted out. That usually takes a couple hours to do. And it's probably, you're not going to, you might not believe this, or you might. Like, it's probably the least fun. Even though it's fun to see what the card's got, and although I can see that on my computer screen even before I ever get that package. But it's kind of tedious, right? And so that takes a couple hours. I sort them out, and then I have them, in a lockbox. And then people will either, if I know someone real well, I have them come to my house to pick them up. If I don't know them as well, I'll meet them at a Dunkin' Donuts nearby in the conference room that most Dunkin' Donuts have. My local one does. We'll meet in there. Or, if a lot of people just come to the next monthly show and pick them up at the show and then sub their next sub. And it's been 2 years now. It's been better than I thought. Again, I can't quit my day job, so I'm still working as a teacher assistant. But it's a nice little extra income. It allows me to sub some of my stuff as well, which I would have been doing bulk sub or not bulk subbing. I'm really proud of the relationship I've established with SGC, not only but from the bulk subbing, but even prior to that with the sponsorship of the podcast and getting to know them on the real organic level. And it's if someone asked me, is it hard to be a bulk subber? I wouldn't say it's hard, but I definitely wouldn't say it's easy. It's somewhere in between. Listen, and I'm not trying to dissuade you if it's something you're thinking about doing or adding to what you might do. Now, it's a responsibility, right? You remember, you're responsible for these folks' cards. You better have collectibles insurance, number one. People don't pick up their cards the same day, so you better have, a safe or somewhere they can be locked up, because they're not your cards. 98% of a bulk sub order, in my case, maybe even higher than that, sometimes 100%, are not my cards. I am responsible. If anything happens, no one wants to hear, oh, this happened, I'm sorry. They're going to be like, hey, how do I get my card? Or how do I get what my card was worth in reimbursement, right? And so it's a big responsibility. And that's the part where, I get nervous every time. First sub order to 31st sub order. But it's went well. It's went better than I imagined when I first started. And it's nice to be able to provide that service to people I know who are friends, people I don't know, right? And it's funny, when someone subs with me for the first time, I chuckle because it's kind of funny. And I would do the same thing almost. They'll only send a couple cards, right, to dip their toe in the water, test how the process works. And, I've had people tell me, hey, I'm going to send a couple cards, see what this like. If I like the service, and if everything goes well, I'll send more with you. Don't take that personal. And I get it. And I appreciate that. And I tell you, 95% of those folks are still with me and have sent in subsequent larger orders. And that, I appreciate the trust they put in. Do nothing to, dishonor that or ruin my integrity. So I really do appreciate that. I'm very transparent. I tell everyone when they're getting sent in, because sometimes I will actually hold the cards a week. If I have a show back-to-back weeks, so if I have a show on like the 7th and then another one on the 14th, rather than send 2 separate bulk orders, I'll just send that all as one big one. And I'm very transparent. I tell everyone who I see on the 7th, like, these are not going out to the 15th after the 14th show. I'd want to know that if they were my cards, and I'm very transparent. Do appreciate that. I just want to say one thing I didn't mention earlier. I'm trying to do this in chronological order, if you will. I send emails to everybody who's on each sub to where the status is. So the first email will say on their way to SGC, Boca Raton, Florida. The second email will say arrived safely there. The third one will say in the grading process. The next one will say grading process is complete. They're on their way back to New York. And the last one that I send out to everybody is, hey, I have got them back. Give me a day to sort them, and they'll be available tomorrow for pickup locally, or if you just want to pick them up at the show. I then usually ask people kind of to respond to that last email and kind of tell me how they would like to pick up them, whether that's in person or at the next show. That way I know, and I don't want to bring someone's cards to a show if they're not going to be there to pick them. You know what I mean? Because I'm handling them, I'm bringing them there, I'm responsible for them. Shows get busy, even though it's behind the counter. I just don't want to have someone's cards at the show if I know and they know that they're not to get them. So everything is kind of coordinated and organized, and so I know who's going to meet me where and when, and to have their cards there. So, and I will tell you this, after 2 years or over 2 years now of doing this, I've really streamlined some of the process. I'm better at it today than I was when I first. I'll probably be better at it 6 months from now than I am today. And, really been a pleasure. And, while it is a little work and time consuming, it's not pulling teeth. It's not something I don't enjoy. So really having fun with it. People love it. I don't do it for this reason, but I've gotten tips from people. I've gotten gifts from people. I've gotten, my favorite alcohol is the Crown Royal Blackberry. A good friend of mine, Paul, I won't say his last name, gifted me, a brand new bottle of that. And just really, it's not, I don't require that, but people appreciate it and show their I'm appreciative of that. So if you have any questions, I say this all the time, my door is always open. If it's something you're wondering about or thinking about doing, again, you got to get the permission from that grading company. I can kind of give tips. I don't want to say tricks, but so thanks for listening, everybody. All right, thank you for listening to another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. Want to give out our social media, starting with our website, which is www.sportscardnationpodcast.com. Facebook, you can follow us at www.facebook.com/sportscardnationpodcast/ Twitter, we are at sportscardnati1, so it's sportscard NATI1. Instagram at sportscardnationpodcast. Or you can email the show, hobbyquickhits@gmail.com. Again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.